Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and let's get ready for EJ Boxing Live.
Yo, what's going on, people, man? Hope everyone's ready. And we have obviously a very special guest, Harold the Shadow Knight. Welcome to EJ Boxing Live Show. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, sir. Thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Absolutely, man. Listen, it's been a while. I ain't gonna lie. I've been watching your career. Well, watching you obviously been with Lennox Lewis. Obviously, you was a trainer,
Right.
and it's a pleasure to have you over. So obviously, we're gonna get straight into it.
Mm.
Mr. Harold Knight, you're obviously with Dillian, but before you was with Dillian, you was with Ildridge, and obviously you trained him with the Rail fight. So
Right.
before against Canelo Alvarez, what was your take on what happened in terms of your
Well,
opinion?
well, I tell you, hey, number one, Canelo is pound for pound number one. That's number one. Um, it was a little when I say heartbreaking, I mean, Avni, as we know, he got stopped by Chris Eubanks way back, and Chris Eubanks more or less exposed him, and then he came back and won 3 or 4 fights, and then I was called in uh, when he was scheduled to fight Anthony Durrell,
Mm.
and so I even went to Turkey for about 2 months to train him. And one thing with Avni, he's a hard worker. He listened to everything I said that I asked him to do, and and what I wanted to do was get his defense better, to get his jab going, and just to fight smart.
Mm.
By watching him the other night, it seemed like he forgot everything. Obviously, he would another trainer, Diaz. Me being a trainer, I don't speak bad about other trainers, but it just seems like he reverted back to before I had him. He wasn't
Mm.
moving his head. He wasn't jabbing. He didn't do a damn thing. And man, I tell you, not saying he was going to win, because once again, Canelo is pound for pound the best in the world. And man, it hurts his stock. It hurts his reputation because as a fighter, as a former fighter, and as a trainer and a teacher, that's the last thing you want to do is quit on a stool. Even though as a trainer, you want to be able to save your fighter. Don't get me wrong now. You want to save your fighter, but it's going to be hard for him to come back from what transpired the other night.
Yo, I was shocked. I was shocked that if you look at when you was with him, he was having fun. He was walking
Yep,
with his head guard. You could
yep,
see you was working him. I listened to
yep,
another interview previously. It seemed like you had trouble with the management or something
yep,
like that. Can
yep,
you go into that?
yep,
And that's what caused the relationship to kind of fail. Is that right?
yes. That's absolutely correct. His manager, Ahmed owner, you know, you know, uh, I am not even gonna go into it with him. It's just that we didn't see eye to eye, and we just didn't see eye to eye. And what it did, it hurt his career because, as you can see, Abney, he's been every fight he's with a different trainer. He'll probably he'll probably be with a different trainer after this fight also.
Hmm.
Abney is a really good guy, but his manager, I'm gonna tell you straight up, is an asshole. Ahmed owner is an asshole. Period.
Was his Ahmed? Is it Ahmed?
Ahmed owner. Ahmed owner. Yep.
Okay. Hmm.
Onerer. Ahmed
Okay.
owner. He's an asshole.
Okay, he's probably in this picture, but I cut it out. I just in this picture, I just put you and obviously
Right.
you and Yildridge, but he's probably in this picture to the left. That like, but yeah, but
Right.
he's the reason because he looked so good. I was looking him against the rail, and I was like, so you see the thing, you wasn't in with his corner when he fought Eubank, and you see he got blown out, right? That you
Yes.
come in this
Exactly.
corner, I'm like, yo, who's this? He looks like a
Yeah.
complete. How long? What did you work on with him to get ready for the rail fight? Because he looked really good in that fight.
Well, yeah. I mean, once again, I go back to the basics. I go back to the fundamentals. I go
Mm.
back to what gets you there. You know what I mean? The jab. I go back to making sure that you got to slip them punches and to be in position. You know, when you slip them punches, you know, you turning your shoulders and you turning your waist, and your balance is correct. That makes you get out the way of the guy throwing the punches, and also it puts you in better position to throw your punches with correct power, with the proper foundation. And so that's all we did. We went back to that. We was up every morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, out there running. We was in the gym, working on different things, and just letting him have fun, doing the things that I knew he could do. And one of the keys was that is to bring in good sparring. You know, I brought in Dafir Smith out of Philadelphia, which was his main sparring, and he not only helped Avni Yildirim for that Darrell fight, but he also was help teaching him also too.
Yeah.
And so when you have that good energy, you have that good spirit, you have that good positive, you know, that in the air, and you build that confidence and that motivation. When you know you're in shape mentally as well as physically, you go into a fight believing and knowing that you can win. And added to, I will say that you know, Anthony Darrell and them, they underestimated us. They looked over him. They didn't think he was going to be, you know, come with any type of force, and that's why I didn't really want his management or anyone to know that I was working with him until it was time to go to the press conference in America. And so that you know, when you come when they least expecting or don't know how you coming, element of surprise, that is the key. And so with them factors, that's what, you know, produced a good showing with him against Anthony Darrell. You know,
he looked amazing. He looked amazing. He looked like a different fighter. And so you fell out with him after the Darrell fight because of the, like you said, with the management. That's a shame. If you was in the corner and you had him prepared for Canelo, what would you have did differently?
Well, it's so crazy that we're talking, EJ, because so many people, as you know, I'm over here in Portugal. So many people have been texting me or Facebooking or, you know, getting in touch with me through social media because obviously they watched the Canelo fight. And, you know, my brother, my good friends, and they're saying, oh, man, this guy, what the hell did he do? I mean, he didn't do anything. He didn't throw any punches. He looked horrible. He looked terrible. And now if you was with him, I'm sure he would, you know, he would have looked much different. I'm not saying he'd have won because Canelo, once again, is number one pound for pound. But, you know, it's just that what I would have instilled into him to number one, jab. How do you only throw one jab or land one jab in the first round? Unbelievable. So I would have had him throwing more jabs, punching to the chest. And in that way, you know, that would have opened a few things up upstairs. And then, you know, once again, take nothing away from Canelo, as well as a trainer, one of the best in the business, Eddie Reynoso, one of the best in the business. But, you know, Canelo throws beautiful body shots, but he was throwing them things pretty wide. So when he was throwing them things kind of wide, I would have had my man go straight. I would have had him go straight. So then what are some of the things that I would have had him doing, but also not be there when Canelo was punching? I would have had him have Canelo to try to reach for him. He stood right there in front of him. It reminded me of the Eubanks fight. Stood right there. So I would have had him take a step back. I would have had him go to the angle, step, you know, go to the angle here, go to the angle there, do something different. He did nothing different. That's what I would have had him doing.
Yeah, because he just went in there, and I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I mean, you of a former fighter yourself, and the man, this is for the world title. This is on the line. Everyone's watching. It was embarrassing for me, and I thought you're the first person I want to see what you take. What do you think of one of your former fighters and the way he ended up? Do you blame, like you said, with the management? You weren't there. You know that you could have. Could you, in your heart, do you feel like if you trained him, he would have upset him, or you would think he would have had a better showing?
I know for a fact that he would have showed. It would have been a better showing. Anything can happen in boxing, as you know already. I'm not saying he would have won, but I know that he would have fought his ass off. I know for a fact he would have gave Canelo a better fight, and I know his stock would have stayed up. His stock is way down now. I don't think he'll be at world class anymore. In the back part, Avni's a really good guy. He's a really good guy. So I know for a fact, like I said, he would have definitely put out more. He would have went out on his shield. He would have went out on his shield if I was in that corner. So
100. It's sad, yeah. It was very disappointing, and maybe his career in terms of world class might be over. And it's a shame, but but that's what happens when you get. But the shadow moves on, and this is where the shadows ended up. The shadows ended up in actually. Before we talk about the shadow moving over to Dillian, how do you think Canelo's going to fare against Billy Joe Saunders if that fight happens? What do you think is going to happen there?
Well, once again, Billy Joe Saunders, I watched him too. He's a bad boy. He's a bad boy, being a southpaw, being slick. He can throw punches from all angles, and he can box his ass off. He can fight. But once again, you have Canelo. Canelo, he reminds me, he's a throwback fighter. Come on, what fighter has what he's fought 2 or 3 times in the last 2 times in the last 2 months or something like that, 2 or 3 months, and then he'll be fighting Billy Joe Saunders in May, and then if he gets past that, which he will get past that, not going to be easy though. Then he'll hopefully fight Plant. So what fighter fights 3 or 4 times in 1 year? Only old school fighters do that. So what that does, that keeps the machine well oiled. That keeps the car tuned up. Now, Billy Joe Saunders, he hasn't fought in a minute, to be honest with you. I believe in about a year or so.
Yep.
Maybe a little longer. So
he fought. He fought actually against Murray just the other day. I think about 2 months ago. So.
Oh, he fought 2 months ago. Okay.
Yeah.
So he hasn't been idle too long. So I mean, once again, styles makes fights. Billy Joe Saunders, he brings a whole different program to the game. It reminds me when Canelo fought Lara. You see what I'm saying? When he fought, it was another gentleman he fought that gave him Austin Trout. Mind you, them all southpaws. So once again, like I said, Billy Joe Saunders is going to come, and he's going to come fight hard, because not only him being a southpaw, come on, when you hit the lottery by getting to fight Canelo, and once again, Billy Joe Saunders, he's undefeated. He don't know how to lose. He don't want to lose, and you hit the lottery when you fight Canelo, because when you fight Canelo, hey, anything can happen, in the fight. So he's, once you get that opportunity, you have to capitalize on that opportunity. And Billy Joe Saunders is coming to fight. So, I'm going with Canelo right now. I'm going with Canelo, and I believe Canelo is going to win that title, as well as with Caleb Plant. He's going to beat Caleb Plant.
Yeah, he's going to be, because I think in the movement, he had trouble with Mayweather who could move. I know Caleb Plant ain't the same, but don't you think that's the style to beat him? He quite a flat-footed. You know what I mean? Don't you think that's go ahead?
Yeah. Once again, these guys, they bring different aspects to the game against Canelo. The thing with Canelo is, though, in that loss against Mayweather, which I was there, not ringside, but I was there, he got better with that fight. He got better within that loss. So that them are some of the ingredients of he's chasing greatness. He's chasing, yes, he's accumulating these titles. He went up to light heavyweight against Kovalev.
Callum Smith,
Callum Smith, and all these guys. So he's chasing greatness, and he's coming back down. So I believe that 168 is where he should be right now, and he's going against different styles. He's going against different styles. Um, after this fight, he didn't take any damage. He didn't hurt his hand. He didn't get, any damage at all. And so, I'm sure he'll be back in the gym another week or two to get ready for BJ Sanders. So he just reminds me of the old school fighters, man. And once again, I give credit to his team. I give credit to his trainer. Them guys are the best, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, 100%. Well, that at the end of the day, that Ildred could have been there. You could have been there, but it's the team. It wasn't meant to be. So, and you
Yeah.
move on, and the shadow moves on. Hey, by the way, I know you've been in many corners. I actually saw you in the Julius Francis corner when Mike
Oh,
Tyson
yeah.
came in the Manchester. How did
Yeah.
that go about you joining Julius Francis in the corner? Like, go ahead.
Well, Julius is a good friend. Him and his trainer, Mark. What is Mark's last name? His trainer. I can't remember his last name.
Was
But
it
his
Mark
trainer,
Maloney? Was it Mark Maloney?
no,
No.
his last name not Maloney. But it was Mark. I'll try to remember before
Yeah.
we finish. But Julius Francis, he used to be one of Lennox's sparring partners,
Okay.
and Frank Maloney, Kelly Maloney, as right now. But
Yeah.
Frank Maloney at that time was his manager, Julius Francis' manager.
Yeah.
And so that's how Mark Rowe, that was his trainer, Mark Rowe.
Okay.
So that's how I got involved. Excuse me. That's how I got involved with Julius Francis, because he was with us with Lennox Lewis, whether we was training in Arizona, whether we was training in UK. So Julius was with us all the time, and when he got the call against Mike Tyson, they needed someone to assist Mark Rowe, his trainer, and I was happy to do that, because we went to it was excuse me, an army barracks in Aldershot, way up in
Yeah.
Aldershot,
Yeah.
and we did our 6-7 weeks up there, and against Mike Tyson, and hey, it is what it is. It is what it was.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike Tyson is Mike Tyson. You gave him a good game plan. I bet you told him to box. I see Julius trying to box Mike Tyson, man. But you go ahead.
Well, yeah, no. I mean, hey, Mike Tyson was on his game back then. Mike Tyson was on his game back then. Mike, like I said, he was unbeatable at that time. Well, he wasn't going to let a second string guy, third string guy, do anything to him. Julius, he, with all due respect to Julius was, he was scared as hell. So, sometimes you can make fear work for you. Sometimes it goes the opposite way. Mike Tyson used to let the fear work for him. In that case with Julius, in Julius' case, he was scared to death, and it didn't work out. Put it like that.
Yeah. Okay, then, right. We got a couple of questions. I got my man Iron Kong, John Dilly in the chat. We got Jalik the leader. We got LB. There's LU Dubs boxing. So I'm gonna get to your questions, but in relations to what the questions I'm gonna ask. The shadow. So the shadow moves from Ildridge, and all of a sudden we come over to the UK. Obviously, you've been over here when the Crunk game was over, and obviously you're now from UK to Portugal. Now you're over with Dillian Whyte. How did that connection get over that? You and Dillian Whyte and Xavier Miller all come together. Tell us how that connection.
Well, let me first say that Zab and the Dillian Whyte team has embraced me. They show me nothing but love. These guys have been excellent. I will say these guys have been excellent. And me and Zab, we think a lot. We think alike. Put it like that. You know what I mean? So, it's some people that I know that know some of Dillian's people that made that connection And because I've always, when you're a student of the game and you follow boxing, not only follow but watch boxing all the time,
Mm-hmm.
I've always watched Dillian. I've always watched him. Never thought that I'll be working with him at any, getting the opportunity to work with him. And I love heavyweights. I specialize in heavyweights, should I say? So when that call came through, you know, they made me an offer, and and it was an offer to be back in big time boxing, world championship boxing,
Yeah.
and to be with a fighter like Dillian. What I love about Dillian, he's one of these guys that's not only a blue collar worker, but he's a hard cap guy. He go, with the lunch pail and he works. He's one of these grinder, man. And he's a realist. He's gonna tell you like it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a realist too. And that's what I like. And Dillian can fight, number one. He can fight. So when I got that call, I basically already knew that I was going to accept it. But it was business. It was business. We had to work things out. And the rest is history. I'm here.
Oh man. So listen. So you obviously see the Povetkin fight. What do you think?
Right.
Like in a lot of people, I think maybe in the corner. Obviously, it's probably gone over with Dillian in the corner now. I'm not gonna obviously. I don't know if you feel to address the game plan, but can you still elaborate? If you was in the corner, Dillian's knocked Povetkin down twice. You've come back to the corner. What would you have said in the corner, and what do you think Dillian would have executed, in your opinion? Go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Finish. I'm sorry.
No, that where I think a lot of people feel like maybe from the corner work, it was no urgency to probably finish Povetkin because he looked like he was ready to go. Or what would you advise him at that point? Because Dillian was definitely on top. The man's knocked down twice.
Yeah.
You tell us from that point on. You must, because these sort of things might happen in the fight. You're gonna expect in the next fight that Povetkin's gonna go down. So some sort of adjustment needs to be made there to make sure it either stays down or anyway you got a plan B. So tell us, what do you think?
Well, without giving out no plan or anything like that, but once again, we know Dillian is an assassin. He's a killer. When I say that, meaning it's like a shark that sees blood in the water. He's going to get your ass. He's getting you out of there. And that's what I would have told him to, jump right on him, take him out of here. Let's not, unfortunately, keep him around. And obviously we see what happened. And I will say, not justifying anyone's action, it was something that Dill, and that's what I respect about him, because he the one that said he made the mistake by not jumping on Povetkin. It didn't really come from the corner. You understand what I'm saying? He said he laid back too much for not to jump on him after the two knockdowns. And see, with them two knockdowns, them were shots that Dillian more or less threw, how can I say, naturally, and he didn't really put too much, all that power behind it.
Yeah.
So, so that was good and that was bad in a way. So, once again, we're not going to make that mistake this time. When we get that sucker hurt, we're going to get his ass out of there.
Yeah.
So, so I once again, Dillian was, he observed what he did wrong. He was cognizant what he did wrong. And as soon as he got up, he was like, "Oh, I want the rematch." You know what I mean? And then in a way, I tell you what, the different rescheduling, it helped us. It really did, in my opinion. It helped.
Okay, well, that give you a bit more time to work with Dillian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know what it reminds me of? In the situation when you remember when Lennox Lewis is fighting Mike Tyson, right? And the first round, and he comes back, and man, what the fuck you doing, man? You can stick around, he can get you some shit. And he goes, I bet Lennox was, He was like, yeah, man, you want to get this man out here. He's a dead man walking. Get him out of here. That's what was missing, bro. And this, I know that. Go ahead.
Yeah. You are absolutely correct. When you asked me that question, what would I have told Dillian if I was in the corner when he knocked him down? That's what came to my mind right there.
Mm.
What Emmanuel Stewart did to Lennox Lewis. He jumped on Lennox's ass and said, "Get this sucker out of here. Get his ass out of here." Because, when you got power like a Mike Tyson, anything can happen.
Yep.
And so he jumped on Lennox, he motivated, encouraged him, and actually had to, I had to more or less pull Emmanuel Stewart off of Lennox from him beating Lennox up so much in the ring to get him out of it. I did go ahead and get Mike Tyson out of there because once again, hey, Mike Tyson, power is the last thing that leaves you. And
No, because I think Manuel Stewart experienced that when Tommy Hearns was fighting Iron Barkley and he was coasting. And I think he learned from that situation. It's like, nah, we ain't going to just take our time breaking him down. I think, when Hearns fought Leonard the second time, in his mind, that probably always went through his mind. And that kind of thing, from his wisdom experience. And this is what you bring in. What did you learn from Emmanuel Stewart? You know what I mean? Like all the time he was there.
Oh, man, let me tell you something. See, what a lot of people don't know, I knew Emmanuel Stewart before he even came aboard with Lennox Lewis.
Okay.
Excuse me 1 second. I knew Emmanuel Stewart when I was 14 years old. Him and Tommy Hearns. Tommy Hearns, as well as Emmanuel Stewart, they came to Plainfield, New Jersey back in 1977 before Tommy Hearns won his first world title against Pepino Cuevas. And so my trainer and my mentor, my coach, my trainer and coach, John Davenport, him and Emmanuel Stewart were good friends. And so, I knew Emmanuel Stewart and Tommy Hearns, which Tommy Hearns is my #1 favorite fighter. Obviously, Muhammad Ali is the greatest of all time, the greatest. But Tommy Hearns is my second. He's the greatest, after Ali. And so I was always in love with Tommy Hearns because, like I said, I've always followed Emmanuel Stewart years and years before he got involved with Lennox Lewis. But when he came with Lennox Lewis, all I did was, EJ, all I did was close my mouth, I opened my eyes and my ears. And all I knew I was going to learn. I was more happy than Lennox Lewis that Emmanuel Stewart was aboard because I knew that all I was going to do was learn. I call it the triple L. Look, listen, and learn. That's what I call it. And that's what I got from Emmanuel Stewart. And man, I really miss that guy.
Yeah, man, 100%. I never said the British to meet him, but overseas some of the wisdom is definitely used you. And then you're going to help Dillian. Now, there's a lot of questions in the chat from the guys. I would have addressed it, but I still have to go through some certain questions. So you've come into the camp, you sat there, you've watched Dillian. You're going to have a bit more time with him. Could you elaborate on what you think Dillian's weaknesses are?
Well, I mean, Dill, let me tell you something. Dill is his IQ, his boxing smarts is second to none. Second to none, because we don't only go into the gym and do our training and practicing and work on what we work on. Before the gym and even after the gym, myself, Zab, and Dillian, what we do, we talk about boxing. We talk about the lighter weight guys. We talk about the light heavyweights, the heavyweights. We talk about the Ezra Charles. We talk about the Joe Lewises. So Dillian's IQ, his smartness in the boxing is second to none. So that right there tells me that it's not all about, Dillian, he's one of these guys destruct and destroy. He puts holes through you when he hits you. So it's about being smart now, using the IQ what you have, using the smartness what you have. You don't have to go into a gunfight all the time. What we're doing, myself and Zab, Dill has them guns on his hip, but we putting them bazookas, but we putting machine guns, we putting them small little derringers on his ankle, but we're doing small little things to be able to bring out the bombs. You see what I'm saying? But the main thing is to use his IQ, use his smartness, use his intelligence. You know what I mean? So I mean that's one of the reasons why I was brought in to add to what Zab already brought to the table, but also to bring out what Dillian already possessed. It just has to be brought out. That's all.
Well, boy, you in the corner, you've been with Lennox Lewis all the while talking, and you've seen some of the great nights with Lennox Lewis. The documentary I've seen. If you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. Is it Untold Story? Lennox Lewis, and in that documentary, it highlights all of Lennox's career in depth because I've never seen it in the way he's put. Most people didn't know Lennox Lewis had his wife. They don't know. Obviously, they showed how you met when the football team. I think you met. No, that was another friend in the football team. I think you met.
Yeah,
another trainer. You met for another trainer, right? And you went into the wrong room. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Actually, and I didn't mean to cut you off. Is that Lennox's first professional trainer was my coach and trainer, my mentor, my teacher, the late great John Davenport.
Okay.
That's who I was saying. Him and Emmanuel Stewart were really close and tight to late great Emmanuel Stewart, and that's and he brought me aboard with Lennox Lewis. You know, back when obviously Lennox won the '88 Olympics, I met Lennox in '89, and at that time, quickly, my last fight was in '88 against Rocky Lacos for the IBF junior lightweight title.
15 rounds.
Yes,
15 rounds, man.
Rounders, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
And so I was actually was forced into retirement or was getting ready to go into retirement, but I was going to give it one more shot over in the UK. And so, under Frank Maloney. And so I actually was going to go over to the UK and see if I could start my career over there, but they already knew about me at that time. And so that's when John Davenport, the late John Davenport, he was brought in to be Lennox Lewis's first professional trainer. And mind you, he was my trainer and coach in my career as an amateur and all the way up to I was 12-0. And the job, actually, when I was forced in retirement, I didn't want to have anything to do with boxing. I was like, I'm walking away. I don't want to watch boxing. I don't want to look at boxing. I don't want to hear nothing about boxing. But like I said, this is how that works. John Davenport was brought in for Lennox's first trainer and teacher because John Davenport was known as a disciplinarian. He's a former Marine, so he was a no-nonsense guy. Didn't take no shit. And we did everything the right way, whether it was training, whether it was running, he did everything the right way. And so I was brought up to the camp up in the Catskills to be part of meet Frank Maloney and to meet Lennox Lewis. And I came up to the camp and we was in the same cottage together. And my room was on the other side, which I didn't know that in the same cottage. And so I ended up walking into Lennox's room, which was the door was closed and it was dark. And I walked in and it was the wrong room. And I seen this big old giant stand up. And that was my first introduction to Lennox Lewis. And so that's how I got involved with Lennox Lewis because Frank Maloney at that time had other fighters under his stable, and John Davenport was brought in to work not only with Lennox Lewis, but with Frank Maloney's other fighters in his stable also. That's how I got involved with Lennox Lewis.
Yeah, my man L Dub said boxing. He said, ask Harold what went wrong with Coach John Davenport as Lennox Lewis' first coach.
Well, once again, John Davenport, it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have got involved with Lennox. In that situation, I will say this in a politically correct way. John Davenport committed career suicide with Lennox Lewis. When I say that, like I said, if you remember, I said John Davenport didn't take no shit from nobody. And, us being over in England, and we would be actually at press conferences, and you know how sometimes different reporters would ask the same question in a different way.
Yeah.
And John Davenport was like, didn't that guy just ask that same question? Don't be asking me that damn question again, stuff like that, and he would go off. He would actually go off instead of just, yeah, he really would. He would really go off. And, he was a no-nonsense guy. And it was just one of them things where he didn't want to be asked same questions 2 or 3 times, different ways. And in turn, what happened, the media would actually take it out on Lennox. They would ask him, they would write bad things about him. They would they would in reverse, they would do different things to hurt Lennox's career just because John Davenport, and don't get me wrong, Davenport was a strong black man. Strong brother that just didn't take no shit. He just didn't take no shit, and he was a no nonsense guy. So in turn, they just would take it out on Lennox in the media, put it like that.
Oh man, yeah, because Pepe Correa he come in all light. He's British, he's black, he's black.
Yeah,
and he come in lighting it up. He was with Sugar Ray Leonard. He come in and he started to improve Leonard. Leonard started his performances lifted him up. He had him moving that kind of moving around and float fast. Lennox adapted it. It seemed like Lennox could adapt to any style, whatever coach was bringing it. But Pepe brought that kind of fast hands. And so, what was your take on Pepe?
And Pepe's a good guy, good friend of mine. But Pepe was more or less, how can I say, a cheerleader. I'm gonna keep it real. Pepe was more or less a cheerleader. You know what I mean? He wasn't. He would more or less tell Lennox what he wanted to hear instead of what he needed to hear. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And Lennox is a smart guy. He wanted to hear to tell him the truth. You know what I mean? He wants you to keep it real with him. And so unfortunately, Pepe was with us all the way up until obviously the first McCall fight. And Lennox was smart enough to see and notice that, hey, you know what, I need to get better. I need to work on some things, and I need someone that's going to, take me to another level. And we literally went across the ring and grabbed the manual steward and said, "You're coming with us." And, after the McCall first one.
Yeah. Well, if you guys see the documentary, you can see that I go, "What's the John? Let me see this chat." There got so many questions in, but the thing is, you guys, as you keep your questions there, I was asking him. He goes, how would Mr. Knight address the footwork, Dillian's footwork? Dillian gets caught square in the inside, and it also gets caught with the uppercut. Dillian was totally dominating the fight every other department. What was your address to that?
Well, once again, without giving our game plan away, which already is academic already, we're not going to be square. His balance is going to be better, and he's going to be use his assets, use his attributes, and without giving out no game plan. Dillian is going to be using that jab. And if anybody knows anything about boxing, once you use that jab the right way, the way you can use it, what it does, it makes your balance correctly. You can't jab the right way if your balance is not correct. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? So that's one of the things that we've been working on, and Dill has been working on to work that jab different ways to work it because he has a strong damn jab
Hmm.
and not just one jab. He's going to be using that jab to set things up. That's what I'm talking about. Small little, we putting ammunition on his belt,
Yeah.
and in turn will that helping his balance as well as his defense. You see what I'm saying? So we're not going to be square. We're not going to be susceptible to that damn uppercut. And that gentleman was right when he asked that question right there. And
Mm.
so we've been, that's why it's a blessing that the fight has been rescheduled like 3 times.
Yeah.
It gave us more time to right the wrongs.
Yeah. That's right. Then I go my own question. When
Yeah.
Lennox Lewis got old, as he got older, he became more wiser where he realized he didn't have to necessarily work. He could lean his body weight on an opponent and tire him out. And I think Emmanuel Stewart realized that when Hearns fought Leonard, when he needed to tie him up, when he fought Iron Barkley, maybe Hearns should have tied him up. And Lennox Lewis, when he's fighting McCool, in them areas where he didn't need to exchange, where the guy had the sure arms, he tied him up. Now, I talked to Coach Xavier Emilio about this. He doesn't like tying up. But for me, when I look at it, when you're a big guy and you're dominating behind your jab and you get in, for the short guy to even be successful, he needs to hit you in them areas. And that's where Dillian got caught. So this is just me. I thought like you guys, obviously you seeing that, would you say that would be a strategy to stop Povetkin from working to when you get close, tie him up immediately? And Dylan's a big guy, just lean on him. What do you think?
That's why I like you, EJ. That's why I like you. You know what you're talking about, man. You know what you're talking about. And once again, that's some of the strategy we're going to institute. We're going to employ some of the things you just said. Some of the
Okay,
things that you just said.
that's
And
right.
once again, I keep saying I'm not going to give up the strategy, but if they didn't hear what you just finished saying right there,
Yeah,
not going to hear it from me. But
yeah,
once again, it's about being smart.
yeah.
It's about being smart. You don't, we know we got grenade launchers. We know we
Mm,
got C4. We know we
mm.
got all that right there. But we want to be able to use that when we need to use it.
That's right. Outside,
Not,
he can't hit
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Not in the inside where he can hit you.
exactly. And so Dillian is so goddamn strong.
Yeah.
He's so strong. He is strong naturally,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to be employing some of the things you just finished mentioning right there.
Yeah, because people say about Povetkin, he ain't very good going backwards now, yeah. But this is the thing: to make him go backwards, you have to make sure you don't go backwards yourself, and that's where Dillian got caught going backwards when you know what I'm saying, he throwing it and Povetkin coming forward. He's aggressive, but you see the thing is, Dillian's an intimidating guy, he's intimidating, and that's where what I mean. But that fight there, Povetkin's years older. Dillian has you in the corner, he has Zab. I reckon the chemistry is gonna work a treat.
Yeah,
Have you
yeah.
bring in other guys like yourself to help in these avenues? Because I feel like you've got a lot of experience and you've got a lot of
Right.
connection. You bring other people into the camp, more sparring partner. Because I think they only had one sparring partner. I think Dillian. I'm not gonna say myself that Dillian
Mhm.
underestimated the guy, but I feel you need various sparring partners for this task. Of Povetkin, I talked to Jonathan Banks, and he said Povetkin has many styles. When you hit him and you hurt him, he changes to something else. But you have to
Yeah,
you need to be ready. So, is the other sparring partners coming? And
yeah. Well, once again, like I said, EJ, that's why I like you. You know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about. For this camp, we brought in different type of sparring, not the ones that just regular run of the mill type of guys.
yeah,
We brought some different sparring in that's there to test Dillian, that's obviously that's emulating in the same style as Povetkin. As you know, Povetkin is a former gold Olympian. He vast amateur experience, vast amateur experience, and as you know, Dillian only had what 8 amateur fights.
Yeah.
And so, where we at? Dillian's like on what 29 fights, bro, something like that. So, you know, Dillian has been learning on the job. He's been learning on the job. He's been in obviously with with the Joshua fight earlier in their career. So he's been learning on the job, and he's been getting better. When I say getting better, put it like this: he's been learning from each fight. And with this, we take nothing away from Povetkin. He's coming to fight, man. He's coming to fight. I believe, and we believe that, this is his last shot at it. He's being 42 years old. He's been in a few wars, a lot of wars. And so, he's a veteran. He's coming. He's coming. He's trying to bring the smoke. And so, once again, we've been working on not. We don't have to fight when Povetkin wants to fight.
Yeah, that's right.
We don't want to have to fight when he wants to fight. We're gonna be smart. We're gonna be smart here, but that's not going to take away from what Dillian naturally does. Dillian still brings that smoke. He brings that heat. He brings the missiles, but we want to do it smartly, and he's going to do it smartly. And we going to use what Dillian does best again. I mean, and use that against Povetkin. Povetkin got a lot of miles on his car now, and so we want to be able to, we want him to run that car, run it at 100 miles an hour for early. And so when it comes down to, and don't get me wrong, but still be smart, because in boxing, anything can happen at any time, especially in heavyweights. And so I'm excited for March 27th, man. I'm really excited, man. It's going to be fun. And Povetkin, all he's been doing is keeping that belt warm. He's been keeping that #1 ranking warm. And sometimes in a loss, it makes you a better winner in a loss.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I was watching Lennox Lewis with Manuel Stewart on the pads in the documentary, and there's one thing what Manuel was bringing in. I think it was the short uppercut to the body and bring it up. Like Povetkin, he walks on it. He like me, Larry Holmes go, come on, dummy, walk into that jab. Come on, dummy. You keep walking in. When he comes in, bang, bang, uppercut to the body, bring it up. And even if it misses, you can just tie him up and lean on him, because he needs room for you. His style is like Mike Tyson. You have to miss, and then he counters, and then he can move, But if Dillian doesn't give him nothing to counter, then he's hard, because he's moving his head, trying to come in. Come on, dummy, come in. I got something for you. Boom. Like what he did to Mike Tyson. The shutout. You know what I mean? If he does that style right there, I mean, that'll be good. But this is gonna, like you said, the more time we're gonna expect that. So we look forward to you being victorious. We're gonna talk about Anthony Joshua now, and we're gonna talk about Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis, the greatest, one of the greatest heavyweight of the last one there. In fact, the last undisputed. Vitaly Klitschko wasn't undisputed. Vladimir was never undisputed, and Tyson Fury and AJ is not undisputed, but Lennox Lewis undisputed. What in your opinion, AJ and Lennox Lewis? Why is this? For some reason, is Lennox Lewis? Actually, let me put it like this: some people think Lennox Lewis is jealous of Anthony Joshua, and I don't think so myself. What's your take on their backwards and forwards take? What's your take?
I tell you, that one's hard to read on that one right there.
Yeah.
I don't believe he's jealous of Anthony Joshua, but that's a hard one to answer, in my opinion, right there. Anthony Joshua is one. He is one a great athlete and a damn good boxer. He's changed his game a little. He really has. And I give him number of respect, utmost respect to Anthony Joshua. I just think with him and Lennox, I think that, in honesty speaking, I think Lennox was trying to sign him
Yeah,
and
well,
put
I heard
him
about
under,
that. He took him
yeah,
to Jamaica. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, and put him under his wing.
Yeah,
And, and I think Anthony Joshua more or less, he wanted to hear what Lennox had to say. But he also wanted to keep his options open. And
mhm,
so, which was his choice, obviously, which was his choice. And so when I believe and feel that when, and Matchroom has done an excellent job with him. You know what
yeah,
I mean? He's like a crossover star. He's done damn well for himself. And so I think when he went in a different direction, I think that's what brought a little that, a little that,
yeah.
a little that, you know,
Needle, yeah, needle, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes, I believe that way. So,
yeah.
but once again, you can't knock Anthony Joshua because he's been successful.
Hmm.
He's successful from what he's been doing.
Hmm.
He's two-time heavyweight champion, and hey, he's been doing excellent. I got no but respect for him. And but once again, if or when uh we get to him, it's going to be a change. When I say
Ah,
that, Dillian, when
oh, see,
Dillian gets going, even though
oh,
we're jumping ahead, we want to take one fight at a time. We
yeah.
want to take
I
one
think
fight
you
at
were
a
Wilder
time.
though. I think you were. I think you won that Wilder fight though. You won that Wilder fight.
Yeah, that would be, yes. That definitely would be another blockbuster because you got two big bangers,
Mm.
and that definitely would sell
Yep.
either in the UK or the
Yeah, Dillian
US.
pay per view. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Actually,
be-
I thought
because yeah,
Tyson Fury. Sorry, Tyson Fury's next in line. So I think Tyson Fury's got the WBC belt. I think you're in line if you win to get back your number one position, which really you
right.
shouldn't lose because that fight should have been a voluntary, whatever. Uh, I think you fight Tyson Fury. How does Dillian fight Tyson Fury?
Well, with Tyson Fury, they've been in the ring a few times before, not obviously in
Oh, sparring.
sparring,
Okay.
but sparring and everything. And from what I gather and from what I hear, uh, Dill, he breaks up a Tyson Fury. Don't get me wrong, Tyson Fury with his height, his reach,
Mm.
with him throwing punches all different types of ways, he's definitely a threat. He's definitely a threat, and plus
Yeah.
also too, any heavyweight is a threat. Don't get me wrong. Anthony Joshua was a threat also. I
Mm.
got utmost respect for both of them guys. They wouldn't be world champions if they wasn't a threat.
Mm.
But with Tyson Fury, it's always not just a rivalry between Dill and Tyson, but it's also a rivalry in trainers. When I say trainers, because you got Sugar Hill. Me and Sugar Hill are good friends, but also trainers like to be against trainers. We
Yeah.
compete against trainers. And if you recall there, CJ, uh, who was Anthony Terrell's trainer?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sugar
That
Hill.
was Sugar Hill, right? Yeah,
Sugar
Sugar Hill.
Hill. So
He's
once
the trick.
again,
Yeah.
you know, so once again, and I was Avni Yildirim's
Just-
trainer.
Yeah.
So but once again, it just goes to show how Emmanuel Stewart is still touching us when he's gone, that
Mhm.
legacy he's leaving,
Yep.
because he taught us Sugar Hill, he taught myself, and to be able to hold the baton now, to hold the torch, to teach these guys now. And
Mhm.
so that would be an excellent matchup between Dill and Tyson Fury, as well as myself against Sugar Hill again.
Yeah. That's gonna be them chess. Hey, and you know the thing is, Lennox Lewis was good at chess. Are you good at chess as well? Do you used to play chess as well with Lennox?
Not at all. I'm a checkers man. I'm a
You're a check.
checkers man.
You
I
like,
ain't. I don't do no chess. That takes a little too long. You can
yeah.
set them up in checkers too. It's just that I go for the kill. I'm like Dill. When I see blood, I'm getting you out of there, man.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna be step dancing with you and do the Fred Astaire. Nah, I'm getting
yeah.
your ass out of there.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, man. Bring some
Yeah.
urgency to that. All right, my man Iron Kong. So we're gonna ask you a question, right?
Yeah.
Ask. I mean, obviously, ask the shadow about the sorry state of the American heavyweights. Why the pool? Why has the pool been so small? And does it seem it's turning around anytime soon? Do you see it turning around anytime soon?
Oh yes, I do see some. It's a couple guys over there that's um, you know, the heavyweights over there. Number one, you got to be able to put that work in, man. You got to be able to, you got to be able to get up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning when nobody else is out there. You got to be able to go in the gym early in the morning. You got to be the first one there. You got to be able to be the last one to leave. You got to be able to be able to go to different training camps to to the top guys like the Dillian Whyte training camp, the Anthony Joshua training camps, the Fury's training camp, and a lot of these guys over there in America, um, they not willing to do that. They not willing to put that work in. They're not willing to learn. You know what I mean? How you think the Dillian got so good? The Joshua's got so good. The Furies got good. They went to other training camps.
Yeah, they went to the
Yeah.
Klitschko training camp. That's right.
Yes, they went to the training camps. But you have a few guys over there. You got Jared Anderson. He's
Yeah.
another guy to keep your eye open for. I've been watching him. He's pretty good. Jared Anderson. You got he's from Poland, Adam Kalnacki.
Oh
He's
yeah,
not bad.
he lost to Charles Martin. No, he lost to Hellenius, Robert Hellenius.
Hellenius, which they
Yeah.
have a rematch coming up. You see what I'm saying?
That should be good. Yeah, that should be good.
Yeah. So the Charles Martin is not bad. He's not bad. Don't get me
I
wrong.
like Charles, man. I like the king.
Yeah. Andy Ruiz.
Ruiz.
He is damn good. You know what I mean? It's just that it's far and few between them great heavyweights over in America. And once again, I mean, the Queensberry rules that started over. Boxing started in UK, man. So every few years it shifts back and forth. It shifts back and forth. And so now at the time right now is over here in the UK with the Furies, with the Joshuas, with the Dillian Whytes. So once again, hey, another 4 or 5 years, or it'll probably shift back over that way.
Well, with Joe Joyce as well. My man, my man, John Dilly asks, where do you rank Lennox Lewis on the all-time list? He goes, he ranks him number 4 behind between Ali and Lewis and Holmes. Where do you rank him?
Good question. Honestly speaking, Lennox has to be in the top 10. He has to, if not the top 10, because once again, Lennox not only avenged 2 of his losses against the guys that knocked him out. He's also
and Oliver McCall.
Yeah, Al McCall and Hassan Rahman. But also too, he's one of 3 heavyweight champions to retire with the title. Not undefeated, but with the
Gene
title.
Tunney, Rocky Marciano, and Lennox Lewis.
And so him being undisputed, linear. So top 10, and once again, there's been so many other great champions, the Joe Lewises, the obviously the Ali's. Once again, and I would obviously closely with Lennox. You can maybe even put him, like I said, top 10, no lower than the top 12, because there's been so many great champions. The Jersey Joe Walcott, the Evander Holyfield.
He was
to
good,
Mike
man.
Tyson.
Yeah, Mike Tyson's. It's a shame
Yeah.
that it happened. The Riddick Bowe.
Yeah.
I mean, Riddick Bowe only lost once, man. You know what I
The
mean?
Riddick Bowe.
That would
Riddick Bowe was.
have been. Hey, that fight would have been sizzling, man.
Oh man, that robbed boxing history, him and Lennox, because
Yeah,
when I say that would have been a trilogy,
yeah,
because Riddick Bowe was one of the best heavyweights that can fight inside. Oh
yes.
man, he can
Oh,
fight inside. You see what I'm
it's like
saying? So
yeah,
yeah, so that right there, that with them not fighting, not even in the pros, that robbed history
mm,
of them fighting a trilogy, man, because they
mm,
would have to have fought 3 times.
yeah, man. Yeah, man. And then the thing is with Dillian, this is like I know obviously Dillian lost, but you know the thing is sometimes a loss ain't a bad thing, you know, because
Yeah,
I know Dillian's gonna get more money for this, but I ain't
yeah,
gonna lie to you. We know we're on the verge of AJ and Tyson Fury, but everyone's talking about Dillian and Povetkin. That
yeah,
knockout, how Dillian was winning him. There's so many
yeah,
storylines in that fight of what could
yeah,
have been and where it was. And Dillian and Povetkin, you know, and in my opinion, is like, and I'm sure Manuel looked at Mike Tyson, even though we respect Mike Tyson, to
yeah,
be a legend, you need to kill a legend. And
yeah,
Dillian has to have the mindset. It's like we respect him, but it's my time now. It's my
yeah,
time to kill the legend, and I gotta kill this guy. I can't. And I feel like too much respect is to this guy here, and not respect to
mm,
me and what
yeah,
I've been doing. It's my time. He's
yeah,
there for me to get over. So I need to get
yeah,
over this hurdle to get where I gotta get to. So
yeah,
what do you think about the Dillian, the legend killer? That's what you should
yeah,
be calling for. Like Randy Orton from the wrestling, the legend killer. What do you think?
yeah. Well, once again, like I said earlier, Dillian is a throwback fighter. He's
Yeah.
one of these throwback fighters. He's fought everybody. I mean, he didn't shy away from any guys. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Some of the guys, obviously, he didn't have to fight Povetkin. He didn't
Yeah,
have to
he
do
did.
that.
Yeah.
So, in a lot of these guys, he didn't have to fight in regards to keep his number 1 ranking. Here
Mm-hmm.
it is. He was number 1, BC number 1 guy for 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and was denied, getting a title shot.
Yeah.
So, and he was still fighting guys. Dillian from the street. He's one of these guys. Oh, come on, let's. I'm an operator, man. Let's get it in. Let's bring that smoke. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but once again, him being a throwback and one of these guys from a legend. You know, you learn off your mistakes. You learn off your mistakes. You learn off your losses, and say, not that it's going to change. You can't. You can't. I always used to say you can't change a stripe on a zebra.
Yeah.
That zebra's going to have them black and white stripes. Jillian still is going to have that killer instinct. Oh, that he's from the street. Believe me, he's from the street, so he's not going to change that. It's just that he's going to do it smartly. Instead of going through the front door, we're going to go through the back door. Instead of coming through the side, we're going to crash through the roof. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So once again, we're just adding to what Dillian knows he possesses. We're gonna add a little spice to it, and
Mm.
when the people see him on the 27th and his hands be raised in victory, he's gonna say, hey, we're back, and we're going to go about this thing whole differently and better. So sometimes things wasn't meant to be at that time. It,
Yeah.
it, it, it makes you take a step back, reassess some things, reevaluate, and come at it a whole different way.
100%. Like last couple of questions now, because obviously I know you're a busy guy. And I think Zab was saying, I think you got a session at 7 over
Yes,
there.
we do.
Yeah, he was saying to me. So, what do you think about Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson #3? I think they're going to do an exhibition bout on Triller. What do you think
Yeah.
about that? I think Teofimo Lopez is fighting his mandatory on that fight, on that card. What do you think about them two locking horns again? You reckon he's going to bite his ear again? What do you think?
It's so crazy. I was at the first fight? No, second fight.
Mhm.
When he bit his ear and everything.
Mhm.
What was it, first or second fight?
The second fight when he beat it, yeah.
Bit his ear. I think I was at the first fight. I know I was at one of them fights when him and
Yeah.
Holyfield fought. But hey, I mean, Mike don't. I don't think Mike needs the money. I think unfortunately Holyfield needs the money because that's the only time fighters come back. When
Yeah.
it's two things: you either miss the spotlight or you need the money. Um, they call this an exhibition bout. Uh, I don't know how much of an exhibition it's going to be,
Mm.
but once again, I think it's good that they're going to do it again. You know, Holyfield really always had Mike Tyson's number. If you follow history
Mm-hmm.
back a long time ago, Holyfield always had Mike Tyson's number. I
Mm-hmm.
think they're more cordial to each other. They're more, I guess you could say, friends. But I think it's going to be interesting. Like you said, it's an exhibition. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is money to be made, and it's going to, once it's drama, it brings people to the table, and it's going to be interesting.
What do you think about in because they're doing these kind of legend leagues is what they're calling it. Lennox
Yeah.
Lewis rematching Vitaly Klitschko.
Wow, that'll be a good one.
It was, I know
That
Lennox. I know Lennox don't need it, but Vitaly. You know what? You know what's funny in that fight with Vitaly and Lennox Lewis? I was looking at it, I was like, yo, you was getting your ass whooped. I mean, yeah, you was winning on the scorecards, but Lennox was putting his hands on you. If the
yeah,
referee didn't stop it, you'd
yeah,
have lost your eye. But yeah,
yeah,
you out here talking. No,
yeah.
I mean, boy, you lucky, son. Like, I mean, what's your take on that? And Lennox wasn't. I think he was preparing for Kirk Johnson or something like that. Another guy,
Yeah.
Canadian guy, right?
Well, yes, exactly. Well, if with Lennox, that obviously a uppercut is one of the most dangerous punches in boxing. Period. And that uppercut, when Lennox hit Klitschko with that uppercut, if his head was not attached to his neck, his head would still be on the Staples Center's roof. It really would be. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
And don't get me wrong, Klitschko was given just as he was given just as much as he was taking.
yeah,
But um, but Lennox already had, Lennox had Klitschko cut over his
yeah.
left eye, and he
Under
was cut. If you remember, his mouth was
yeah.
all cut. Now,
Mm,
and if people know about boxing, once you cut in your mouth and you start swallowing blood, you start getting weaker.
yeah,
And and Klitschko, he was once again he was in the fight, but he was getting weaker, and Lennox was coming on,
mm.
and Lennox's best punch is not only the straight right hand but the
But
right uppercut.
uppercut.
So yep, and so if that fight, I'm glad the referee stopped that fight, because if that fight wouldn't have been stopped, I
Mm.
think Klitschko would have got hurt. But
Bad. Yeah.
segueing that into them, if they fight an exhibition, it would be really interesting. It really would be.
Oh man.
So when they say with exhibition fights, these exhibition fights, I don't know, man. When these guys start hitting kind of hard, if you
Yeah.
get hit hard, you think I'm gonna not hit him back hard? I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna jump in between these guys if they start going at it.
Yeah, 100%. All right, man.
Yeah.
I've took so much of your time, but obviously, the first time we've talked, and obviously the guys in the chat. Shout out to October Reg. Make sure you subscribe to us. Shout out to Iron Kong. Make sure you subscribe to him. John Dilly, thanks for coming over, and the rest of you got L
Yeah.
Dubs. Yeah. So Howard, what do you want to say for the people who are gonna pay for the pay-per-view in Spain? And this it should be all right, we're okay for you guys because you guys are moving from Portugal to Spain. That's not that far. It's lucky for you. It's okay. Why should people tune in if they don't know already for the pay per view for Povetkin and Dillian Whyte too? Why should they tune in?
Well, number one, they should tune in because number one, that this is going to be not only an exciting fight. History's on the line here. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
Um, Dillian and Povetkin is a really intriguing fight because you got one guy who's 42 years old. This is last stand, basically going at the OK Corral.
Yeah.
And then you got Dillian, who's been there. been the #1 guy for so long, and then unfortunately, he got that loss against Povetkin, and he wants to get that back, and he will get that back. That that BC title. I mean that #1 ranking. So tune in to not only to the pay-per-view on the Zone. Make sure you tune into EJ Boxing. Just it's one of these throwback fights. It's one of these fights that where legends are made, and it puts Dillian right back in position to go against Fury or Joshua and Wilder. Because any of them three matches, any of them three matchups, you're going to get a good damn fight when Dillian Whyte is fighting. Any of them, Joshua, Fury, or Wilder. You're going to get your money's worth. So make sure you guys tune in March 27th on the Zone.
100%. Mr. Harold Shadow Knight, it's
Yes,
been a pleasure. And
Yes,
listen, we look forward to you being victorious come fight night. And we
Yes,
really appreciate you coming over, man. You take care of
Thank you,
yourself,
sir.
and you know what I mean? Keep it going, man. You know what I'm saying? We
Yes,
can't
sir.
wait. Take care
Thank
of
you, man.
yourself. All right,
Stay
man.
blessed, man.
Take
Peace.
care.
All right. Yep.
Peace out, man.
Yep.